Yeah, fine. So, this is Rakesh code. I'm just taking inspect. Okay, so let me first see what you have written. This is abhi.html, rakesh.html. Fine. So first name, last name. Okay, on click you're having the save. Okay, and after saving, you're taking all the values. Fine. You're taking it into an object, right? You're consoling it. So let me see if till this it is working fine. So return false. If I refresh the page, um, network console. Okay, so first name, last name, email, submit. Okay, now you're getting the object properly. Fine. So next, you're creating the XML HTTP request and on state ready change get element by ID. You're getting the response tag. Post. Okay, you're sending the details. So this is correct. Should work then. Yeah, fine. So you did it correctly. So let's learn. So Rakesh, this is correct. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, then now let's learn deeply what is XML HTTP request, what is Ajax, what are we doing here. Okay, so guys, as I told you, there were two types of form summits. Okay, one is the server side summit, which I have already explained you. Okay, I explained you right or no? Did I explain you that? Did I explain you form summit via uh, server summit? No, guys, can you hear me?
No.
No, okay. So just consider that if I am going with the form summit of server side, so we should wrap this inside form. Even now, if it is in JavaScript, we should do this, but fine, it will work even without that. But for an actual form submit to a server side, we have to have this attribute method, which method we are going to use to submit, and action should be the URL of it. Let's consider that we are giving the action as upbeat.html. But there is no big use if you are giving a HTML page there. We should have a PHP page. Why don't we have a PHP page? Let's keep it as upbeat.php. We'll learn little PHP just to understand how PHP Summit works, or server side Summit works. Okay, so let me have rb.php. Oh, yeah, so PHP files should open like this and end like this, but there is no problem if you're not closing it too. Okay, generally they used to not close it. Okay, but if there is some other content below that, they used to close it. But if you are saying that this is the last line, if this is the last line for you, then we generally don't close it for one sole reason, I don't know. Okay, but let's don't close it. So we have a function called printer in PHP, which is used to print an array. Okay, so what now happens here is, so generally why do we have a form, guys? The reason why we have form is, so user input something and we have to get it programmatically inside a language like a JavaScript or PHP, and then we put it in the DB, we put it in the database. Why? For further use, we should do some queries and get it. So basically what we are doing here is, we are just taking some information from the user and put it in the DB. I don't know, maybe if that is the reason why they call it information technology. I consider that that's the reason why we call it as information technology, because whatever technology you take, like whatever websites you take, okay, mostly what we do is we collect some data from the user, we store it somewhere, and we show it to them in a different time, in a different way, graphical representations, things like that. Okay, so whatever software you take, this is what we are mostly doing. We take information from the user, we process it and show them in a different way. Even if it is a Facebook, even if it is a calculator, or whatever it is, you put some data, they store it or they process it and give it back to us in some other way. So maybe that's the reason why it is information technology. I don't know, I was just saying, maybe that's the reason. Okay, so now we have a form and we have some information here that is supposed to be stored in the DB. So if this some thing that they have stored here is to be stored in the DB, we have to first know how to take this into a program. User type something in these text boxes, and we have to take it programmatically so that we can further process that data. You know how to do it in JavaScript. You see it here, right? You get the value by get element by ID. So this is the way how you will be getting the value of an input type text or whatever it is, like input types, and then you can create an object. Okay, now you have all the things that you have typed in this form in your JavaScript language. Okay, but now we are learning what is server side submit. How server side, like this is in client side itself. Okay, client side means inside our browser itself, it is not going to server again. This is client side itself. On clicking on this, in this same file, the save function, which is JavaScript, it's getting triggered and you are getting the value. Okay, and PHP submit is something like you have typed in something. Now you click on save. You cannot get it in the same file. This will be redirected to some other file like this. Okay, this can be even done in the same file, but that will be confusing, so I'm not going for it. Let's consider that you are doing it in a different file. So action, you are having abi.php. So what we are trying to do is, yeah, we have these things typed in this rakesh.html. Now I have to pass this to a different file in the server. That's why we are calling it a server side submit. We are not taking it in the client side. We are not getting the values in the same file via JavaScript, but we are sending it to some other files which is in the server. Why we call it a server side submit? So now this is sent to some file called abi.php in the server. Okay, so this abi.php now will get those things that you have typed here in this form as an array in a variable called dollar underscore post, because you are using the method dollar method post. Okay, so now print dollar underscore post. So now this is an array which have the whole values of the form. Okay, so let's see if that is working. So now I'm having this rakesh.html. So now I'm typing something, last name, email. Now I click on submit. Okay, now we are not trying to process something in this client side itself in the same page, in the same browser, I mean the same tab. No, what we are going to do is this clicking on submit now will redirect this to some other page called abi.php, and in that abi.php we are trying to access these values that he have typed. Okay, so now I am clicking on submit. Sorry. Okay, so to make it submit, it should not be a button, it should be a submit button to do this. So I refresh the page again. So now I give something. Okay, now I click on submit. Okay, it's a validation. Fine. Now submit. See, this is now redirect to another page, which is abi.php, which we have given it as an action. Okay. So now in this abi.php, we are seeing I have printed this dollar underscore post, which holds, this is the variable which holds all the things you have typed. So now it is an array. You have whatever you type, Vinesh, SDFG, but and the email. Okay, and where are these keys coming from? These keys comes from this name actually. So when you are keeping it as fnamex, then it will become fnamex. Let's say that. So when we are trying to do a server side submit, then the name attribute is really needed, or otherwise we can't make it work properly. Yeah. So I click on submit. You see fnamex. So this is the key. This is the value. This is the key. This is the value. This is the key. This is the value. As we had an object here, arrays also have key value pair. But in JavaScript, only object will have key value pairs. But in PHP, we have key value pairs also in arrays. So now you have a key, you have a value, you have a key, you have a value. Okay, and these keys are coming from the name attribute. It out there? No. No. So what is the problem with the server side submitters? So generally what will happen is now you have this in this variable. So now you can process this, save this, and redirect to any other page we need. Okay, maybe they do something here and they will redirect you to the same page rakesh.html, and they will be showing some alert saved successfully, something like that. But there are several disadvantages of this. One would be click on submit, this page reloads. Just consider that your internet connection is too slow. So you have to reload to a page called abi.php, and after processing it, you have to come back to rakesh.html, which was already there. But now you are reloading it. There are two-page reloads for which for a slow network should be a big deal. Okay, so we always consider how we can improve the performance of our website, even if the network connection is low. We have to bring a good solution to the users. For example, just consider Flipkart. Okay, Flipkart should have a very good bandwidth because his users should be even in remote areas where the internet connection should be too slow. Not only Flipkart, any websites, any web applications, any software, we always consider the efficiency of it or the speed of it. Okay, so this become a big concern when we are doing the server side summit. Okay, and let me say one more example. Okay, you are not typing in first name. Okay, so what we can do here is we can validate here in the JavaScript itself. You will be checking like if f name equal to empty, then we can show some alert. But if you are purely relying on backend, so you click on submit, it goes to abi.php. Only now you know that fname.x is empty. Then what you have to do? You have to redirect back to the same page programmatically, and you have to say here that first name is required. And the same time, if last name and email is filled up, then you have to pre-fill it. Otherwise, the user will get annoyed. Okay, I already typed the last name. Now I lost the last name also. Now I have to type everything back. That would be a big deal. So now you understand, right? I click on submit. I have these two things. I have these two things. First name is not here. So if I'm doing it via JavaScript, I click on submit. I can just check like if first name is empty and I can show some message here. But if it is a server side submit, I submit it. Now I realize that in the PHP fname x is empty. So now I have to redirect him to the same page again, and I have to fill these things. Okay, and here we have to show the message that something is wrong for this field. Okay, but generally if you're reloading the page, you will actually miss this. Now I just click the browser back button and it worked. Otherwise it will be lost here. So now you come and see like, oh my god, I typed in last name and email, I lost that as well. Okay, so there are several problems that we are seeing when we are going with the server side summit. Okay, that's why now we are they try to do a different kind of stuff or a different kind of way in which we can access this or do this via JavaScript or without even reloading the page. So without even reloading the page is fine, but without a server we can never save this into the DB because the DB is inside the server. Okay, so however we need to access the server, but I don't want to reload the page. Okay, so for example, you are in your relative's home. Okay, you are in your relative's home and you are coming to your home. After coming to your home, you have to inform them that yeah, I have reached. Just consider that relative's home is the server and your home is the client, which is the browser. So you come to the client and now you have to inform your relative, okay, that you have reached home. What you used to do now? Earlier there is only one way to access them. You have to go back to them. Okay, so you come to your home, then you go back to them and say like I have reached, and then you have to come back to your home. That's little funny, right? But now we have a latest technology where we have phone. So with phone, you can even access the server now, or even talk to the relatives now. But you don't want to go physically go to their place. You can just sit in your home in the background or in the phone or through a technology. You sit here, but you can able to communicate to the server, which is your relatives' home. Okay, that is what now we are doing, right? We come home and you WhatsApp or call them and say I have reached safely. So now you are contacting the actual server, but you are still in your home. So that is what they're trying to achieve here. So they are here, they don't want to reload the page and go to server again. They should stay here, but they need a way, or they need this WhatsApp, or they need this calling facility so that they can access the server without even reloading the page when this page is still here, and it should be done in the background. So that is what we called as Ajax. Okay, so before that, let's see. Now I gave a post request, right? So what is actually happening here? I click on submit. So now you can see the network. So right now we are in the rakesh.html. So every time you reload a page, you can see the tab and you will see that first page will be what you are trying to access. So HTTP, you have requested this HTML and it is a get request. Whenever you type in something and you enter, it will become get request itself. There are two methods, get request and post request. But if you're directly taking a page in the browser, it will be always get request. Okay, and this is a get request. So now I click on the submit, we go to another page, which is abi.php. So that will be coming here. Let's see. Yeah, so you see abi.php coming, and you see, yeah, this is the document that we have loaded. Okay, abi.php, and you see this is the document we have loaded, which is generally the page, and they call it as, yes, this is the document. Okay, this is actually a right request. It's not exec. This is not Ajax. This is a direct document request. You have requested document called abi.php, and it is a post request. How do you verify it? Just click on this. You see the information of it. This have requested an event called abi.php, and it is a post request. Okay, when it is a post request, we have an ability to put some things inside this. Just consider that this is abi.php. Okay, in this abi.php, you are trying to send something to abi.php. Just consider that you are sending a courier to this abi.php via post, or a parcel via post. So this post request will also have a parcel which hold all the data we need. The data here is this array. Okay, so just scroll down, you will see that we call it as form data here. Okay, we call it as payload, and they are considering this as form data. So you have all the value that you typed in. So this is what we call it as $_post. So when abi.php is being called with post request via our form, it goes to this page, and it is having a parcel to be given to that abi.php, which is this. Okay, and that's why we are able to get this data with $_post in the server. So you guys understand this, right? Any doubts here? No. Okay. So this is what we are calling a server-side submit. So it goes to a different file, and it is not an Ajax request. It is a real document load. They are loading another document. With that, they are taking some information with them, which is we are calling it as form data. Okay. And this form data is possible only if it is a post request. Okay, so now we have sent so and so document, and now you got into this file, and if you come back to index.rakesh.html, blah 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 blah, say like this rakesh.html is again a document. So now I have to access the same URL abi.php. Okay, but this page should not reload. So now, even now, I have to access the server, which is abi.php itself. But the point is, this page should not reload. I should be here in this page itself, and I should be using this via XHR. I should communicate to the same abi.php with the phone or through WhatsApp. I physically stays here, but I am contacting her. So how do we do that? Okay, that is how that is what he is doing here. Okay, so what he says, so this is a new class, and don't worry guys, we will not be writing this much code, but this is the core way how Ajax is handled. But generally when we come to our project and all, we will not be using this. Okay, we'll have different libraries to make this Ajax request. Their things will be really different. Okay, but here this is syntax, but don't put your head so much here. So I'll just explain however it is, what it is, but don't think lot of much about it. Okay, so there's a class called XML HTTP request, which is what we are using to call the Ajax request. So first you have to create an instance of it. Okay, and then we have to create a method in it. Okay, so whenever there is instance creation, the output of it will be an object. Okay, now this HTTP will be an object. I can prove you that. So console.log x HTTP. So whenever or in any programming language, mostly any programming language, I'm not sure about other languages, but still, as I know PHP and JavaScript, I say that it should be an object when you create an instance. Okay, because a class is used to create multiple instances of a class, and there will be always objects. Okay, so this XHTTP should be an object. Let's verify that. So as we have others also who knows Python, SAP and all here, if I am saying anything wrong, let me know, okay, regarding oops. So okay, I'm just putting in console. Now I'm clicking, sorry, I have to remove the form submit, right? I have to make it as button, or otherwise this will go to the next page. Okay, now I refresh it and now I click on submit. See, it is an object, and this is having multiple keys. Okay, you see it, right? So now we have created an instance of XML HTTP request, which is an object. So now I have to add one method to it, which is on state, ready state function. Generally, what we have to do, we have an object obj equal to, okay, name equal to sorry, name colon Vinesh. We used to type like this, right? This is how we normally do. Okay, and then if you need a function or a method for it, you used to write it like this, isn't it? So this is how we do it normally. Okay. So what if we need to have another one method like greet123, but this is already created. Okay. Now we have to put one more like method to it. What we will be doing is we can put one more method to it. Like we used to access it this way, right? How we will be accessing a property, obke dot name. This is how we access it. Okay, this is not only to access. We can even rewrite it. Like for example, if you need to change this to Abi now, okay, we can do this. So which means we are overwriting it. Okay, so I console dot log obke here, you get it as Abhi. I mean, you'll get it as Vinesh. Okay. But if you are doing the same here, you'll be getting it as here. You'll be getting it as Abhi. Let's see. But there is some confusions coming up. So you see it as Vinesh, right? Here, because the name is here as Vinesh. But when you come to this line, before that we are changing the name to Abhi. So this will become, here the name will become Abhi. That is what have happened here. But can I show you a magic? I'm just going to open this. Here you see the name as Abhi, right? Is this confusing? This is actually in this object the name should be Vinesh, but this is coming as Abhi. Okay, and this is due to uh, object reference. We will be learning about that later, but don't confuse it, because if you are doing this and seeing, then generally you will be also getting this output. Okay, so that's why I'm just saying that you will be getting it like this, but don't worry about it, we will be learning it. And did you see this thing, value below was evaluated just now, which means right now the value for this is name equal to Abhi. Okay, and this is due to pathway reference, we will learn it later. Okay, so now I was trying to change a property which was already not there. We can also add a property to it this way. So just consider that I need to add the last name here. Okay, now here we will not be having the last name property at all, but here we will be having it. I click on submit. First time there is no last name, but then the last name is found. So what I'm trying to say you is, you can add a new property or even a method. This can be also a function, then it will become a method. Okay, we can add a new property to an existing object this way. Okay, that is what I'm trying to explain. So you understand that, right?
Yes.
Hmm. Amma, Amma, நீ என்ன பண்ண? கேட்கல. சரி சரி, பண்ணி முடிச்சு நீங்க வா அண்ணா. Okay guys, so what I was saying, okay, so now we will be able to add some new property to an existing object by using this dot notation. You can also use the other notation. This one also can be used. Okay, so this way we can add new properties to an existing object. Because you see now also you get the last name. Fine. So why I was saying this is what we are doing here. Okay, just consider this as I told you, XHTTP is an object. So now you are going to add a new method to it, or you are changing a method which is already existing, the value of it. So this particular method in this HTTP object will hold a function, which is generally a callback function. This function will be called. Okay, this function will be called when the etc request or the ajax request is successful. Okay, because this will not happen suddenly, because like this is not synchronous, this is asynchronous. What is the difference is, you say like where a equal to 5, and you come to next line console.log a, this will automatically work. Okay, when this is set, this is synchronous, it will not take any much time. Only after finishing this is coming to this line. Okay, so whenever you type in like where a equal to 5 and you come to the next line and console.log a, you will get it, because this is a synchronous action. But Ajax is not a synchronous action, because you send the Ajax request, it takes some time based on the network to go to the server and then come back. Then it takes some time. Okay, so how we manage this is, you send the Ajax request and your code will not wait for the next line. So because you are saying that you are calling the etc request here, so it will not wait for this API to get completed, or this Ajax request to get completed to go to the next line. No, it will not wait. So still we need to know like when this is completed and we are getting the response. Okay, so we used to use callback functions. So we used to say this as a callback function, because when this request is completed, okay, when this etc request is successfully completed, this function which you have stored in this property or method will automatically get triggered. Okay, that's why this is called as callback function. When this is done, this is called back, this function is called back. Okay, so that's why we are calling it as a callback function. Okay, so the point is, this is on ready state change is where you write a function which will be triggered when your http request or this ajax request or this etc request is successfully completed. Okay, and there are several statuses there. This will be called 4 times, this function basically, but we actually need this to be called only when our etc request is successful. For that we have to use ready state equal to 4. There are other ready state like 1 2 3, which is for some other purposes, you don't worry about it, but we need it only for when the etc request is completely successful. That is what we call as, for that we call this as ready state equal to 4. Okay, so this is the explanation for this particular code. One sec guys. அது ஃபுல்லா எறும்பா இருக்கு, அது ஏதோ பண்ணு, வெளியில எடுத்து வை, கதை வந்துட்டு. Okay, what were we saying? Okay, so now you know what is the explanation for this line. And this open is used, this open method is used for writing what method it is. Earlier in the form we give it as method, right, and then action we give it as this one. Here we have a method called open, where the first parameter is the, what is the type, is it post method or get method, and then you have the uh, URL, and there is a third parameter, I don't know what it is, you can refer. Okay, you can take the documentation of XML HTTP request and find what is the use of this. Okay, so now we have this post and we have this URL. Okay, and then one more thing what we have to do, now we have where we should point to. Okay, just consider this, when if you're sending a post or if you're sending a courier, we need to know the address. So the address part is done. Okay, now you have to know what you have to send, which is that object. Okay, so that is what we are doing here. So we need to send this detail object which is created from the form to be sent here. So that is what we are doing here. Okay, so open is to set the address of the courier, send is actually that parcel, and then this is something like an acknowledgement. Remember when we send a post, they used to acknowledge, yes, you have received it, this is a response for it. That is done here. So this you can simply consider as a normal courier process. So this is the URL, this is the address to which it is to be delivered, this is what to be delivered, this is what should be done after it is successfully delivered there. Any doubts here? Okay. Okay, so now this code makes sense, right? So what does that? Okay, now let's see it in action. Mm, okay, now let's see it in action. So I'm clearing the network to see the Ajax request properly. So now I'm clearing this. Okay, there is nothing now. Okay, so now I type in something, Vinesh. Okay, everything is typed. Now I click on submit. What I'm saying with JavaScript, I'm talking to JavaScript literally, right? Click on, I have to use the save function, take the value of f name, last name, and please make a parcel out of it using an object, and then just create a post, go to the post office, then write a letter. On that letter, write it, what address it is to be sent. This is the detail you have to send, and after receiving that, please give me this information. This is what we have done. Simple, right? So let's see it in action. So I click on it. The postman or the courier man actually take it to the corresponding page. I'm clicking on submit. See, something is triggered. Okay, so the URL that you have given us request.in API/users. Yes, it is called that way itself. Okay, that's fine. And then see, the type is not document anymore here. Earlier it was reloading to this page and we were taking that as a document. Now this is simply an XHR request. Okay, and who initiated it? Procpage.html on line number 46. This is being initiated. So things like that. So now this is an XHR request. What happened in this XHR request? The same thing. You click on it, you see it is a post request. Okay, and then in the data we are having this one. Okay, so as I told you, this is object because we are trying to access an object here. Okay, but there's a mistake here. We should not send the direct object like this. Whenever you send this one here, this should be stringified and sent. JSON dot stringify. Okay, so now I refresh the page. Now I do the same stuff here. Okay, I'll click on submit. Now XHR request is triggered, and so you see what is the request payload. Earlier, when you are doing the form submit, it was meant as a form data, right? Now we call it as a request payload. These are the things I have requested. And what happens? This request rest dot in, they are getting this request, but they are not processing anything for now because we don't want to save this in the DB, right? For an learning purpose or some more purpose, they have given this API. So when you access this API, what happens is they simply give a response. Yeah, I have created this, and the ID for this is 709. They are simply giving this like this. So this is basically a response. Okay, when for example, if you are having your real application, so what they will do is they will give this response. Okay, this is what we call as JSON response. In this JSON response, we are having created it and the ID, or we also will have a message like, yeah, saved successfully, something like that. Okay, so now you are trying to access some external API. You don't know what actually is happening there, but let me just call our own API, which is this abi.html. So we further we'll understand more things there. So instead of doing the action here as form server side submit, now I am doing it in the Ajax request. So I'm getting the same thing here, and I am just replacing this with this one. Okay, yes, now the same thing will happen, but this will be point to our own URL. Yeah, so now this points to our own URL. Let's see, submit. Yeah, now it is point to abi.php. Earlier this was an actual request, like a document request. It reloaded and went to another page. Now this is an XHR request. Earlier here it was document. I guess you guys remember. Okay, now this become abi.php and it is an XHR request. And here in the headers, you see you'll get all the things that you are sending, and in the preview we are not seeing it properly. Okay, because normally if you are sending it via like this to as an Ajax request, PHP will not process it this way, like $_post. We'll use some other code for it. PHP input or post Ajax request. So I'm not getting it. I'll just copy it from my project. Controllers, core, my controller, input. Okay, this is how we should be taking it. Okay, so I'm just where is abi.php post data. So this is how we should take it. Okay, now instead of print or dollar post or this JSON APIs with this subjects, we will not be getting in post request directly. We'll be taking it this way. That's the difference. Okay, so post data. Now you see all the post data here. So I'm just sorry. What do I have to go? Yeah. So now I click on this commit abi.php. Now you get it right. And earlier it was array. Now it is an object itself. Okay, those are different kind of accessing and how php is processing when we do these things. Okay, and even you can convert this into an array easily. You can put this casting and this will become an array. Now if I don't want to even refresh the page, I can click on submit for running this ajax request again. I can right click on it and then give replay etc, then the same request will be run again. So now you get it as an array. Okay, so earlier we accessed it with form submit. Now we are accessing it with Ajax request. Fine, right? So simple, guys. If you didn't understand even now, I'm just saying it one more time like an example. Earlier also you are sending the courier a parcel to your relative's home. Even now you are sending a parcel to the relative's home. Earlier you itself was taking that and going to their home. Okay, which means the page is reloading. Now you sit in your home and you ask the courier guy to take it to you. So you are still in your home, but your parcel goes there and comes back. I mean, comes back in the sense they acknowledge that yeah they have received, maybe through a message or whatever it is. Okay, so that is the concept. You are not moving. You are still here in your home. You do it via Ajax, which is an external service, like a courier service. And technically speaking, this is done via Ajax, which is a technology with which we can still in the browser and we can able to access the server via in the background. Okay, that is the thing. So now you know both summit. You know form summit via server side, and now you know it via Ajax also. So now when I give an actual response to this client or the JavaScript, if you are getting a response like that, JavaScript will not understand because this is a PHP array. Okay, so PHP array will not be understandable by our JavaScript. Okay, and there is always a need for data interchange between different languages. There will be PHP, Java, .NET, in everything. Just consider that you are having these everything in a single project. Then there should be a data interchange. Okay, so we need a common format that is understandable by all. Okay, for example, just consider you are going to office. You only know Tamil. Okay, and one of us only know best example. Okay, now we are having Rakesh here. Okay, he is a .NET guy. Just consider as like that. Okay, because he only know Kannada, right? Kannada or Telugu? Kannada. Oh, he knows Kannada, but I knows only Tamil, or Abhi knows only Tamil. So he knows Kannada, you knows Tamil, but now we need a common way how you both interchange your data. So what we have is English. Okay, so a common thing which both of you understand. Okay, the same way here PHP is also there, this one, and we have also JavaScript, two different languages, but we need a common way that both understands to change interchange the data. So that's why here we send it as JSON, which can be understandable by PHP, and then they should also give this in JSON data itself. Okay, then PHP will also, I mean JavaScript will also understand. So instead of sending it like this, like just consider that I am going to give a message called save successfully in JSON. Okay, So I'll just create an array, dollar response. What response I have to give? So here I will be saving it to the DB. There will be something happening, blah blah blah. Some codes will be there, and finally what we'll be doing is we will be just giving a response to them. Okay. So just consider I am creating an array success, message saved successfull. Okay, this is a message I have to give. Now this is actually a PHP array. If you are just giving this, they won't understand. Okay, we have to convert this into a JSON string. Okay, for that in JavaScript, what we used to do, JSON.stringify is the function. Here we have another function called JSON encode. JSON encode, and we have to pass this array inside this. Now this will become a JSON string. Okay, and I have to give echo so that it displays. Okay, now I replay XHR, you will be getting a JSON output here. See, we are getting a JSON output. Actually, this is the response. Okay, this is a string. This is actually the response, but in the preview we are seeing it in like an object, because so that we can read it easily. So what is the difference between object and JSON? They are having the same structure, but this is of the type object and this is of the type text, or what is it, string. Okay, both are different, but if it is a valid JSON object or a valid JSON string, we can easily convert it to a JavaScript object with json.parse. That's the point. Okay, so now you have received it here. You as a person, you can inspect and see, yeah, I have received message successfully, fine. But programmatically we have to access this and show to the user that this message is received. Okay, so what we have to do, that's why we have this callback function. So we have this callback function here. Okay, and the response text, okay, the response that you are getting is in a property called this dot response text. So I'll just console this, you will understand. Console.log this dot response text. Okay, now let me just refresh the page. Okay, now I'm just doing the same stuff, blah 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 blah. Annapurna,
Yeah.
can you just message Amal that we'll join in 5 minutes?
Yeah. Okay.
So I clicking on the submit. Okay, now abi.php request is went and message saved successfully is here. Okay, now I have console the whole response text. Now you see in the console, yeah, you get it like, where is it? What is happening? Oh, okay, okay. So he have written one more thing, right? Here our response code is 200. Okay, but he have written for 201. Some servers, mostly servers used to give 201 for successful creation, but now we are not providing that. It's 200 for us. The status of it is okay. These things we call it as HTTP statuses, guys. So based on what is the actual status, it will say like if it is success, it say 200. If it is created, it says 201, and if it is an internal server error, you used to say 504, 500. And if it is no data found, or if it is no, I mean, if the file is not found, it used to give 404 for not found. So there are several status codes for this. Okay, so right now it is 200 for us, so I'm using 200. Now this should work. I refresh the page, click on it, console, submit. Okay, now you get it as a string. Now this is not a object. See, object should look like this, but now this is a JSON string actually. So to make this a JSON object, so what you have to do is console.log json.parse is the function that we have for converting a JSON string into an actual JavaScript object. So that this is why I was saying that both understand. So we have a function called json.parse to change it to our own object, and in PHP we have JSON encode and JSON decode to process this JSON data. So this JSON data will be understandable by all the languages, because that is the common data interchange format. And earlier we were using XML and all, but you know XML is little more complex than this, because it will have more size. Because XML, I think we'll write it like this, right? Title, we'll write like this, and we'll give the title, we give it like this. Okay, this take more bytes. Okay, but here in JSON, what we'll be doing in JSON string, we'll be giving only one title and we'll be giving the value here. This is more simple. So everybody uses this JSON now because this is more lightweight. As I told you, we are always looking into the speed and the performance. So we are bringing a lightest version to data interchange, and so we are using JSON. So whenever someone asks you what is JSON, JSON is a data interchangeable format that is understandable by all the program, and it is lightweight. Earlier we were using these things like XML, which is a little more size than this. Okay, so now I'm putting this JSON.parse here. So now this would be uh, then this will become an object now. Okay, so now let me just, I'll put this in a variable for us to understand properly, where rest equal to this. So now I am consoling the rest. Okay, now I refresh the page, I click on submit, you get it as string. So this is the string that you got, and now I JSON passed it. Now it becomes an actual JavaScript object. So now you can easily access the message. So I'm just saying like message, rest dot message is what we need, right? Rest, and inside that we have a key called message. That is what we need. So I'm just showing it in an alert. I come here, click on submit. Yeah, after saving it shows saved successfully. Awesome. So that is all about Ajax, guys. And now when this is saved successfully, what we have to do? What? Did I refresh it? Submit. Okay, now I saved it and it is successfully saved. Now we don't want this to be always shown here, right? So now we have to remove this. Otherwise, he will simply click on submit, save successfully. No. Once this is once saved, we used to actually remove this form. So what you can do, you can take this document.getElement by ID and you can make the value as null. I can come here equal to empty. Okay, now what happens? He type in something, he click on submit, I saved it, saved successfully is shown, and I remove the actual content before which was already there. So now I can type something else. We have to actually remove last name and email also, I was just saying. So now I need something else. So I type in this, I'm saving this same, okay, saved successfully. Next, then I'm saving next something else. So it goes like this. So guys, this is all about Ajax, guys. This Ajax is the master who changed the total technology in web development. Okay, so any doubt in this, guys? So you know etc request now, right? Any doubts here, guys? Guys,
No.
no doubts. Anapurna, Rakesh, Chaitra, any doubts there? Okay. Okay, so now we are going to have another one homework. Okay, and sorry guys, generally they used to use generally the homework will be given from what is taken, but I am giving homework like what I am going to take. The reason is I think this is a better approach. You have to do yeah, you have to do after I am teaching, but trying is more important. And as a software developer or a programmer, we always will get new problems, and Google is mostly providing us the solution. Okay, so even from now you should learn to Google and learn something. Okay, that's why I'm doing this. Okay, so don't worry, but even if you don't get the result, just try. Okay, because this is a practice that is going to make you perfect when you are actually becoming a programmer and you are doing in your own task. Because every time you are going to do something new, and not everyone is simply coming and saying you like do it this way, do it that way. They will say what to do, and it is your responsibility to search the Google and see how it is to be done. Okay, so now you guys have to do something else. So right now we are doing this in pure JavaScript with XML HTTP request. Okay, now we have a library called jQuery. I already have explained you jQuery makes things simple, which is really harder to do in JavaScript. Okay, so now I want you guys to do the same XML HTTP request in jQuery. Okay, if you guys haven't done it in pure JavaScript like as Rakesh have done this way, you have to do this first, and then you have to do the same in jQuery. So just Google and find like how an Ajax request can be done in jQuery. Find the method and just do it, and just let me know. This is the homework I would like to give you today, guys. So anything else? Oh.
No.
Okay, Chaitra,
Mm.
Rakesh,
No.
fine, right. கார்த்திகண்ணா நம்ம கார்த்திகண்ணா அன்னபூர்ணா நம்ம இதை ஆல்ரெடி படிச்சிருக்கோம், அதனால உங்களுக்கு புரிஞ்சிருக்கோம். நீங்க வேற பிரச்சனை இல்லைல்ல, புரியுது இல்ல கரெக்டா? அதான் உங்கள்கிட்ட கேட்கல. Okay. Annapurna, you are also clearly understanding, right? We have already learned these stuffs, but
Yeah.
this should be a quick recap for you, and I think you should be understanding it better now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So if nothing else, then that's it, guys. Let's catch up tomorrow. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Then thank you, guys. So Annapurna, please stay in the call.
Yeah.